10 years old, and my family was on vacation in Williamsburg, Virginia, and we were watching a Civil War weapons demonstration. And my mom leans into my dad, who had this Leica camera around his neck, and she goes, "Hey, Julie, make sure you get a picture of the fire shooting out of the cannon." My dad is a know-it-all engineer, and he's got this kind of smirk on his face. He's like, "It's an impossible shot." She goes, "Why?" He goes, "You gotta wait for the guy to light the fuse, then you have to intuit. The moment before the flame leaves the barrel, you gotta click the shutter at just the right time. Split second too soon, split second too late, you got nothing. Zero. Nada." My mom says, "Give me the camera." So she takes the camera, she waits for the guy to light the fuse, she just randomly counts to 5 and clicks the shutter. In the old days we had slides. You send your Kodak film to Kodak Processing in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, and about 3 weeks later it would magically appear in your mailbox. And it's this beautiful little rectangular box that had a bright yellow sleeve with a Kodak logo imprinted on it. And a slideshow was amazing back then because it was like your own movie, your home movies, you're in it. So Dad loads up the slide projector and the slideshow begins. And sure enough, reflected off the white beaded screen is a series of images. The first one is me and my sister jumping off the motel diving board, in the pool. The next one is a close-up of me with like cotton candy all over my face, smiling. The next one is a shot of my father's left pant leg and shoe that he took by mistake. And then there's a shot of a lone cannon with a bright orange red flame shooting out from the barrel. And my father throws his head back and he laughs and he goes, "Irma, I guess you took it at just the right time." And she laughs and she sort of punches him in his shoulder playfully. And I'm thinking, "Mom, you nailed it." Amidst his scorn and dripping sarcasm, you were calm and you got the job done. That made me wonder how I would react under pressure. Years later, I was a freshman at Stony Brook University, and there was this horrendous sewage backup in our dormitory bathroom, such that the hall carpets were sodden with raw sewage. It was absolutely disgusting, and they didn't clean it up for a few days, and the college newspaper heard about this, and they sent a student who fancied himself some hard-hitting investigative reporter. He comes running down the hall, skids to a halt, gets right in my face, whips out a pad and a pen. He's actually leaning into me. He's really intense. He goes, "How has this tragedy affected life in the dorm?" He goes, "And hurry up, I'm on deadline." And I'm starting to feel flustered. I don't know what to say, so I just blurt out, "It smells very poorly." Says college freshman Neil Intraub. But he's not done. And then he sort of presses his case. He leans in, he goes, "What do you think the source of the problem is?" And he's got this knowing look like he's going to bring down a drug cartel. And in my mind I'm thinking some guy probably took a big dump and clogged the toilet. But this time, I really wanted to consider what I say. I wanted to sound intelligent and maybe even a little bit mysterious. And I don't like being pressured. So I said to him, "Nobody knows." And he writes it down. And a few days later, the article comes out in the college newspaper, but they had transposed 2 letters, so it looked like I said, "Nabdoy knows." As if Nabdoy was some omnipotent, all-knowing deity that knows the answer to everything. And it became a running joke on the hall. If somebody had a question about organic chemistry or history, or even what we're going to have for dinner, some idiot in the back would scream out, "Nabdoy knows!" And that's pretty funny. But a few years later, many years later, I'm on tour with my partner. We do this kind of physical theater thing, and we're in Toledo, Ohio. And we're exhausted. It was a long tour, and we're unwinding at the local bar, having a few beers, and Paul looks and says, in the corner he sees this vintage sports trivia game, and it's called Toledo Knows Sports. He goes, "Hey, you know sports, why don't you go play it?" And I'm thinking, I really don't know sports, I know baseball. I know baseball, like classic baseball. And I'm sort of weird in that I'm very cautious and I don't like to sort of set myself up to fail, you know, especially if somebody's watching me. So I go, no, I don't know. And he's like, we have another beer. He goes, come on, man, it's just a game. So I go over there and I put money in the machine, and happily, most of the questions are about baseball. And I am on fire. It's like, who's the last player to hit 400? Ted Williams. What was his nickname? The Splendid Splinter. What's another term for a line drive? A frozen rope. Who invented the batting donut? Elston Howard. Who pitched back-to-back no-hitters? Johnny Vandermeer. Paul is looking at me slack-jawed. I am having an out-of-body experience. I look down and I see this crazy look in my eye. I am in the zone. I never win anything. And now, weirdly, this becomes the most important thing in my life. I gotta win this thing. People are starting to gather around. I get 38 out of 40 correct. Paul high-fives me, and on the screen it says, congratulations, you have achieved the highest score. You are the all-time winner of Toledo Knows Sports. And then it says, you have 15 seconds to type in your name. And I look down, and there's like, there's no computer keyboard. It's like this old-style phone keypad, and it only has numbers. It doesn't have letters. And I'm looking at Paul saying, he's saying, type in your name. I'm like, I'm trying, I don't know what to do. And I start hitting the keys and random letters are coming up on the screen. B-N-V-O-S-B. Ben Vosby. Like, who the fuck is Ben Vosby? I am the all-time winner of Toledo Knows Sports. It's me. It's not Ben Vosby. Who's gonna know? Nobody's gonna know. Not doing it.